So I don't know about you, but I am sick and tired of hearing about all these Damian Lillard trades because there is so much more going on in this NBA offseason outside of Damian Lillard and everything that the Trailblazers have going on and everything that the Miami Heat have going on. There is so much other stuff that could potentially happen, and I have a list here of teams. I'm calling them major adjustment teams. Teams who need to move off of a star or overhaul the roster. Think about making this a series. We'll see how this first video goes, and we'll kind of go from there. So the first team I want to talk about here is the Chicago Bulls, a team that has lived in mediocrity for the past 2 years. I mean, they drafted 4th a few years ago, got Patrick Williams. Since then, they haven't drafted higher than like 7th. This is a team that needs an overhaul. This is a team that very simply needs to blow it up. They need to clear some cap space. They need to move off DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. It hasn't worked. It isn't going to work. At some point, you have to get all. You have to give it up at some point. Okay, like they are not getting out of the Eastern Conference. They aren't better than Milwaukee. They aren't better than Milwaukee's best 2 guys. They aren't better than Miami. They aren't better than Philly's best 2 guys. They aren't better than Boston's best 2 guys. It is time for the Bulls to move off of DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine and begin a true rebuild. So, because of this, I've got 3 fake trades that I think that the Bulls should at least consider doing. You may call me crazy. You may not like them, but that's fine. These are my opinions. So the first thing that I would do if I was the Chicago Bulls, this is my first fake trade, I would move Zach LaVine to the Clippers for Paul George. Okay, Zach LaVine is owed $129 million over the next 3 years with a $49 million player option for year 4. Okay, Paul George, due $42 million this next season, and then he has a player option, which he will opt out of if he's in Chicago because he knows that the Bulls are rebuilding if they trade for him. Okay, maybe they can flip Paul George during the season as well in December, send him off somewhere for a team who's looking to make a run through the playoffs. And look, he opts out after this next year. That opens up a lot of cap space for the Bulls to go out and get players that they actually want. But Jonathan, what about the basketball sense of it? Why would the Clippers want him? All that kind of stuff. The Clippers are looking to contend, okay? And Paul George struggles to stay healthy. He struggles to stay on the floor. LaVine is a guy who, after he had the knee procedure a few years ago, was played in at least 65 games every year since then. He's more than capable of being the second option when Kawhi Leonard's on the floor. He's also very capable of being the number 1 option when Kawhi Leonard decides to sit out. Zach LaVine to the Clippers would make a lot of sense. Paul George to the Bulls would allow them to clear some cap space. Speaking of cap space, in my 3 trades here, I don't have DeMar DeRozan in any of them, simply because this is the last year of his contract. He has a player option, but look, if he senses that the Bulls are rebuilding, he'll want to opt out and go somewhere where he can chase a ring and potentially win a title. So I don't have any DeRozan trades. It's mainly looking to move LaVine since his contract goes on for the next few years. The next one that I have, Bulls fans aren't going to like it because when you have this guy on your team, you never want to see him leave. A guy who is smart, a guy who plays hard, a great defender. This is a guy Bulls fans aren't going to want to see leave. And Bulls fans, I want to remind you that this guy, if you decide to rebuild, is not on the same timeline. And you can get a lot back for him. The Bulls should send Alex Caruso to the Warriors for Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga. Okay, and like I said, I know that Bulls fans are going to hate to see Caruso go. Impactful guy on both ends, smart players. But once again, he does not fit the timeline that the Bulls have. Meanwhile, Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga allow the Bulls to both prepare for the future, because those are 2 young guys, both, 21 or younger. Okay, guys who have playoff experience. Moses Moody was, he played a role in the Warriors postseason this last year. Jonathan Kuminga, we know about the athleticism and the potential that he has. So, they would allow Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga. They would allow the Bulls to be a little bit more relevant now, provide some more supports. Now, look, I know you're losing Caruso, a really good defender, but you're bringing in Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga. Both of those guys can defend. Okay, you're bringing in a guy in Moses Moody who can, at a minimum, be a 3-and-D guy. Jonathan Kuminga is really good on the break. I mean, there's pieces, there's talent there where, you use those two guys to support DeRozan and LaVine. Maybe you're, a 5 or a 6 seed in the East as opposed to fighting for a play-in spot. But also, it gives them two guys to build their future around. Like, those two guys, plus Patrick Williams, like, those are three really good players. That's a solid young core. If one of those guys blossoms into a superstar, then, like, you really have something going for you. So I like this trade. It is made with the future in mind. My final trade, this one's the long shot, but it'd be so much fun. I think it'd be so good for both teams. The Chicago Bulls should send Zach LaVine to New Orleans for Zion Williamson. Okay, there have been reports that the Pelicans have already tried to move Zion Williamson once this summer, tried to move him to Charlotte for Scoot Henderson. That's who they were going to take with that second overall pick. I don't think it's a secret that Zion Williamson needs a change of scenery. Jeez. It seems like he wants to be in a big market. We know he wanted to get drafted by New York when he came out of college. Chicago, that's the third biggest market in the NBA. Meanwhile, LaVine, if he ends up in New Orleans, he gives the Pelicans another consistent offensive option who actually plays in games. Okay? Williamson, meanwhile in Chicago, gives the Bulls a legitimate superstar. Okay? And look, I don't want to throw any disrespect at DeMar DeRozan. I don't want to throw any disrespect at Zach LaVine. But let's just be brutally honest here. The Chicago Bulls have not had a legit superstar in that locker room, in that building, in front of those fans, since Derrick Rose in 2012, the year when he, blew out his knee. It's been over a decade since Bulls fans have had a legit superstar to cheer for. And as I said earlier, this is the longest trade. This is the longest shot trade of the three. But it fits well, I think. LaVine would be able to space the floor. New Orleans needs more shooting. They need to shoot more threes. He would be able to do that. Zion Williamson can play off the ball this next year with DeMar DeRozan there. If DeMar DeRozan then decides to leave, we know he's very capable of playing with the ball in his hands as well. You guys remember point guard Zion when Stan Van Gundy was the head coach in New Orleans? You guys remember that? I do. So there's flexibility there in terms of how the Bulls want to play and how they would want to play heading towards the future. I think that does a lot of good for both teams. Probably won't happen, as I said. That is the longest shot of the three. I've got a few more teams on that list of teams that need to make major adjustments. Probably going to turn it into a series. Got a new series starting tomorrow called The 1%. Trust me, you're going to want to subscribe and stick around for that. But before you do that, like the video, comment below. What do you think of these fake trades? Would you do them? Would you not do them? What tweaks would you make? Let me know. Let me know all that in the comments below. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to y'all again in the next one.